Hello, everyone, and welcome live to 3Y TV tonight's broadcast. It's the Total Nonstop Racing 3Y TV Cup Series presented by Schue's Lawn Service. I'm Peter Short, and alongside me for tonight's 150-mile race is Bob Giaquinto. And Bob, tonight's a special race, especially for those of us that have been here in Total Nonstop Racing for a while. It is the Maxgrafix.co Robby Gordon Throwback event, and no better place to have it than here at the Darlington Raceway as we go back and celebrate the illustrious career of Robby Gordon.
Yeah, this is really awesome to see, Peter. A lot of really good-looking race cars out there. You see the 50 there of Bill Edwards sporting the Speed Energy flavored livery there on his number 50 machine. Good-looking race car out there. Lots of great Robby Gordon-themed cars in the field. And it all just kind of spans his history of racing, both with off-road trucks, which is what that one was, and his other days of cup racing. You can see here the 99 Philip Scott driving the Publix machine, which is a really interesting color green. I actually kind of like that color, Peter.
Yeah, of course, if you're not familiar with the Publix, very popular down in Florida as a grocery store, and great to see that on the number 99 machine this week. Of course, we got some drivers like Jeff Price still in his number 39 back channel production. So he's not throwing anyone for a loop this week, back with his normal paint scheme. But really cool to see a couple of these drivers out there on the racetrack. Currently fastest of all is Tristan Thuggy Maher, who, Bob, also is our points leader entering into tonight.
Yeah, our points leader entering in tonight. Last week had a great race, I believe at, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the opening of these chase races here for the Total Nonstop Racing League. And he had himself a great race and, looking to ride that momentum here into Darlington.
Yeah, he will be bringing that into this racetrack for sure. Currently at 29.05, but right there with him is also the number one Jason Gracias. Of course, Gracias is up there just 5 points behind Maher, so keep an eye on those top two here tonight. Bill Edwards sitting there in third position. Also can play spoiler. He's very fast at this racetrack. Seen him do well here tonight. We usually liken Darlington Raceway to a racetrack where you have to save your stuff, and Edwards is one of those drivers who does that rather well, as he almost smacks the wall there coming off of turn number 2. Got to save that right side. Of course, the Darlington stripe, we'll see it on multiple cars here before the end of the race. That is for sure. Mike Floppy Tellier is, the number 50 hard into the inside wall there off of turn number 4. We got Philip Scott. Oh, wow. Jeez. Yikes. The 28 machine of Jamar Dumas just absolutely pile driving into the side of Bill Edwards, and that will close out practice on that, high note. If you're the spectators here on the chat, Johnny Williams joining on in. Hello, Johnny. How's it going? I hope your family is recovering well from their issues that they're having that keeps you out of this particular race here tonight. But we move over into the qualifying session here, Bob. Going to be fun to see these drivers out here in qualifying, because this is a racetrack where qualifying is pretty much as exhilarating as it's going to get with how close you have to get to the wall.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. This is one of those tracks that track position is so important at. And, with the wall, if you scrape that wall, your qualifying lap, or your qualifying time, rather, is disallowed by the stewards here in iRacing. So you want to get up as close to the wall as you can. That's where all the speed is. But the minute you scrape that wall and even get a 0x, they call it, or incident, your qualifying lap is thrown out. So we want to see these guys get up as close as possible to the wall, but not hit it. And that's going to be a challenge because it is very tough to pass here at Darlington.
Yeah, it is very difficult to pass here at this 1.5 mile racetrack. Here is Edwards working his way through turn number 3 and 4. He will be the first driver to complete a lap time here as he goes across the start-finish line. We'll see what type of lap time it is for the driver, the number 50, 29.30. So still plenty of time to pick up for him versus where he was in the practice session just a moment ago. Philip Scott jumping to the provisional pole in his number 99 Publix machine. Jamar Dumas in third. Mike Floppy Tellier in fourth. Tellier way off the pace, over 3.5 seconds slower than Edwards. See if he can pick up some time on lap number 2. Here comes Edwards. He's trying to pick up time on his second flyer. He will do so, 29.14, so a little bit off the top times in practice. Philip Scott in the 99. He's going to jump up now to the top of the field once again. Jamar Dumas and Mike Floppy Tellier, don't believe those drivers were able to put another lap in. So we'll see if anyone can dethrone them. Here is the number 35 machine, Robert Tripp in the Jim Beam. Number 35, I ran this scheme multiple times throughout my racing career here. Of course, going back to the Total Nonstop Racing days of old. He's out there in the Jim Beam machine. I wouldn't mind some Jim Beam myself here tonight, as it's a little bit colder here in the state of Texas. Just got our first real cold front of the season. Nothing warms you up like a nice glass of whiskey. Coming down the backstretch, Robert currently finds himself not on the scoring pylon yet. We'll see if that will change this time by. Looks like he's trying to keep it off the wall. Jason Gracias also out there on the racetrack right now. 2 minutes, 12 seconds left. Robert puts himself solidly 5th position on the board, just ahead of Mike Floppy Tellier. Jason Gracias in the Maxgrafix.co machine. Big shout out to Maxgrafix.co for sponsoring tonight's 3-Wide TV Cup event presented by Schue's Lawn Service. As he whips his way off into turn number 3 and 4. Oh, that's the wall there, Bob. This lap will not count for Jason Gracias, and he's one of our series contenders here. That could be pretty big for him.
That's a tough break. I mean, he was starting to look like he was having a pretty good lap being put together, and luckily it looks like a lot of these drivers have picked up some time on lap number 2, but hopefully he's able to keep it out of the wall this lap. And able to make it through 1 and 2 just fine. This is where he got into the wall here on the entrance of 3. And looks like he's going to be able to keep it off the wall, at least for now, as he gets loose out of 4. But he'll come down and he'll complete his lap. We'll see where that one puts him on the board. 4th, 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd, identical times with Tristan Thuggy Maher. Maher, of course, fastest of all in that practice session. So the top 2 in practice, currently sitting 3rd and 4th on the charts. Here's the number 39, Jeff Price, struggling through turn number 3 and 4, also catching the wall, just like the number 1 of Jason Gracias did. We'll see if he can make up for that on his second lap, but I'm seeing some visible right front, at least it looks like right front damage. Maybe not, maybe it's just those stripes there on the front quarter panels kind of throwing me off. But at least for now, Jeff Price not scored on the pylon. We'll see what he can do this time. Goes off into turn number 3 and 4. Once again, gets close to that outside wall. Has to get back in the loud pedal. Coming out of turn 4, misses the wall by a mile. That's the good news. The bad news is that the number 39 machine is only able to muster the 5th time out of the 8 drivers who have so far taken time. Looks like he's still at speed here. This could be his second lap, though. We'll see whether or not that's true. Maybe he clipped the wall in his warm-up lap. That might have been the case. And, well, you know what? We're just not going to be able to find out because the clock expires on the scoring pylon. And, well, folks, it's now race time here. Bob, kind of a short race here tonight, 150 miles for these drivers, and a lot to play for when you look at the championship.
For sure, Peter. A lot to play for, and this is one of those tracks where anything can happen. All it takes is one driver to barely clip the outside wall. I mean, you see how much asphalt is out there on the racetrack, but that racing groove is really those 2 lanes there towards the wall, and anything more than that, you could go spinning and take out a whole bunch of other drivers. But let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's race, Peter.
Yeah, starting on the pole, the number 99 machine of Philip Scott with Bill Edwards alongside him. Great to see a couple of Robby Gordon schemes right up at the front of the field. Jason Gracias, Tristan Thuggy Maher, 3rd and 4th. Jeff Price will be rolling off from the inside of row number 3. Andrew Beach in the number 88 will be rolling off to his outside. Jamar Dumas in 7th. Robert Tripp in 8th. Mike Floppy Tellier, the Canadian driver, was almost 4 seconds off the pace, but yet he will start 9th on the grid. Jake Bustos, the bridesmaid, will be starting in 10th. Then looking a little bit further back, Steven Oziak Jr., Vincent Valvano on row 6. And then on row number 7, Garrett Gleason and Jason Schue rounding out our 14-car grid here tonight. Of course, Garrett Gleason, he's got a little bit extra for that Robby Gordon scheme here tonight. He's also got Robby Gordon's famous number 7 and also sporting a Robby Gordon scheme as well. So great to see that out of Garrett Gleason as the iRacing pace car will start rolling here momentarily. And Bob, Darlington Raceway, one of my favorite tracks to visit, one of my favorite tracks to commentate. We've seen some great races here over the last couple of seasons here in the Total Nonstop Racing 3Y TV Cup Series.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. These races are so much fun to watch because of how close these drivers get. It's a lot of fun just to, see them race so close. But looking at this now, it looks like 7 of Gleason a little slow off the line there. Hopefully he's okay in the car. A little bit slow, but now he's rolling and able to be caught back up.
Yeah, hopefully that number 7, hopefully that's not a story of things to come here tonight, as the number 7 right there catches up to the back of the field before we enter into turn number 3 here. You can see laps are going to click by here in a hurry, Bob. This racetrack, well, it was actually known as the world's first super speedway, believe it or not, before we had the Daytona International Super Speedway, before we had the Talladega Super Speedway. Darlington was the super speedway to go to back in the early 60s, and I'll tell you what, going to put on a good show here tonight. Pace car is off, green flag in the flagman's hand. Bob, let's go racing at Darlington.
And the green flag is out, 2x2x2, heading off into turn number 1. The 99 of Philip Scott has a great jump. He's going to take the early lead. He's got the 50 of Bill Edwards right behind him. Looks like the top 5 or so, all single file, but a little bit further back in the pack. They're side by side. Looks like the 35 might have caught the outside wall a little bit. Everyone's going to have to scramble to get around him, but so far we're going to stay green here on lap number 1.
Yeah, no, the 55 machine, Steven Doziak Jr. right in front of him, also catching the wall. The number 39 of Jeff Price down below the apron. That's kind of interesting to see there early on, whether or not that 39 might have gotten a little bit loose up off the corner, but at least for right now, mostly single file as this field races down the backstretch. You see everyone racing off towards turn number 3. Ooh, that's one car, Jason Schue in the number 3 there at the back of the picture, who just worked his way down to the inside of the racetrack. Now coming off of turn number 4. Look at all those drivers just kind of jumping out of the banking. I absolutely love this joint. What a great racetrack. It's one of those that really is a driver's track. You have to race not only the car, but the track as well. You have to watch that outside wall because it will come out and grab onto you in a hurry. We are working lap number 3 here tonight. We do expect the one and only stage caution to happen on lap number 25. Philip Scott wants to be your race leader when that happens because the top 8 drivers will receive some additional points. Looking a little bit further back, Andrew Beach had a look to the inside of Jeff Price, but at least for now, the number 39 holds on to a top 5 spot.
A couple of good-looking throwback cars there with that 88 machine of Andrew Beach. And he actually had that car painted up for him before it was announced that it was a Robby Gordon throwback. Obviously, Beach driving the 88, big Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan. And he said, you know what, I'm going to pay a little tribute to Dale Jr. here. And a great-looking paint scheme there, as well as we see just behind them, Bridesmaid Bustos taking a look to the inside of the 28 of Jamar Dumas.
Yeah, so that will move Jake now up into the 7th spot, already picking up 3 spots since the drop of the green flag. In fact, everyone in front of them, our top 6, have yet to trade any places. They're exactly where they were on the qualifying speed table. So Philip Scott, Bill Edwards, Jason Gracias, Tristan Dougie Maher, as it looked like Dumas might have flirted with the outside wall there off of turn number 4, but I think he was able to keep off it, at least for right now. But Philip Scott's got out to about a 7/10 of a second lead over Bill Edwards, so a hot start for Ninja Phil as we know him now, the curator of the World Ninja League and curator of the, from what I've heard now, the really good sandwiches that Publix has. Of course, we're going to have to give a good throw to Publix. In fact, I don't think I've ever been in a Publix. I've seen them. I've been down there to South Florida a couple times, but yet to go into Publix. Let me know in the chat if you've been into Publix, and let me know what your thoughts are about Publix. But nonetheless, that number 99 is looking stout out front. Garrett Gleason pointing out that that was Robby Gordon's first ever paint scheme in NASCAR, at least in the Cup Series. And then further back, this driver right here, the number 50, is basically sporting Robby Gordon's final paint scheme in NASCAR, the Speed Energy scheme. So kind of an interesting dichotomy up at the front of the field.
Pretty cool stuff. I love these throwback races just to see how creative these drivers can get with the paint schemes. And I mean, that is just a beautiful looking car there. I love the small number there on the front, kind of, tosses it back to Robby's jumpy truck days and doing that sort of thing. So great looking car there. And here goes the one of Jason Gracias around Edwards for P2.
Yeah, so make that the first change of position inside the top 5. Bustos has also been able to get around the number 88 there at the top of your screen. Now here comes the number 17, Tristan Thuggy Maher, having a look to the inside of Edwards. This could be kind of a double whammy for Bill here as he slides back to 4th spot. Tristan picking up a spot and trying to run down the number 1 machine of Jason Gracias in front of him because, again, remember, the number 1 of Gracias is 5 points behind Maher entering into tonight. So not only does Gracias want to finish ahead of him at the end of the race, he also wants to finish ahead of him here in about 15 laps when we have our one and only stage caution at the conclusion of lap number 25 here tonight. So keep our eyes on that. Ooh, Jeff Price there getting loose. And whoa, a little bit further back in the back, Andrew Beach in the Nationwide is on your side Chevrolet. Might have got the wall off of turn number 4. I'm seeing a little bit of right side damage already on that Chevy Camaro. Hopefully he can get that repaired here under the stage caution coming up. Back half of the field is really split apart except for way back where Robert Tripp here in the number 35 who's fallen 4 spots from where he started on the grid here tonight. That number 39 is currently riding in 12th spot behind the number 64, Vincent Valvano. Now in front of him is one of my favorite paint schemes that Robby Gordon ever ran. That's the Singular Wireless number 97. I wanted to say number 31 because that's the number he ran back when he raced the Singular Wireless machine. But I never was a huge fan of the orange and black. But Tellier there in the wall, throwing some orange and blue paint there. But I believe, Bob, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that this the addition of the blue symbolized that AT&T was buying out Singular Wireless. And of course, Singular Wireless was one of the last sponsors in NASCAR beyond Sprint, before Sprint left the NASCAR Cup Series as its series sponsor. But pretty sure that blue symbolized AT&T. And I think it was something to do with the fact that AT&T could not sponsor the car, but Sinclair Wireless was grandfathered in, and Sprint was having their say. So they ended up with this kind of blue and orange scheme, if I recall correctly. But of course, it's been quite a few years since that happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're correct there, Peter. I remember the whole Singular Wireless fiasco. I remember between, I believe this was also the season that Jeff Burton had left and Robby Gordon was filling in, or vice versa. And for a while, they weren't allowed to have the Singular logos on the car, so they just ran that car without any logos or anything else on there, but still were able to keep the branding colors, just not the AT&T versus Singular colors back in the day. So, yeah, I love that paint scheme. That's definitely one of the more iconic Robby Gordon schemes as well, and it's really awesome to see that out there on the track.
So meanwhile, you haven't missed anything really up near the front of the field. Philip Scott still holding on to a decent lead. Here we got this battle as Vincent Valvano goes around the 55 of Stephen Doziak Jr. So the Fruit Stripe machine falls back a spot down to 11th. Valvano now cracking the top 10. He started in 12th. So far, moving forward a little bit from the drop of the green flag. But in front of them, the best battle for position probably continues to be around Tristan Thuggy Maher, who we highlighted past Edwards, but Edwards hasn't really let him get too far away. as currently the second, third, and fourth place race cars right there grouped together. Philip Scott about 2 seconds up the road, and at least for right now here, Bob, Philip Scott's looking really good to win the stage here tonight, as Edwards there has a flirt with the outside wall, just throwing some additional orange paint. There's a lot of drivers out there with orange paint tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And, I wonder if that's the strategy that Bill Edwards put in place. He went pretty hard for the first 9-10 laps, saw what his car is capable of, and then he started falling back a little bit, wound up falling back down around 4th, 5th position, and now he's just kind of hanging strong. So I think this might be a bit of a tire conservation move, just to sit there and make sure, he's able to keep all 4 tires on it, but we saw him get pretty loose there coming out of 4.
Yes, these tires are probably starting to fall off a little bit, Bob. We had heard midweek from the number 99 of Philip Scott. He did some practice. He's like, these tires don't fall off a whole lot. And then earlier tonight, he came back and said, you know what? They actually do fall off. I'm completely lying. And speaking about tire fall off, the best lap here tonight so far was turned by Philip Scott, at least under race conditions, a 29.27. Last time by, he was about 0.7 of a second slower than that, so that's 0.7 in 20 laps. It's not a huge amount of fall off. It is enough fall off to kind of make a little bit of a difference. But at least for right now, these tires holding up quite well for these drivers. And I know with these current Cup cars, Bob, they talk about tire wear, and in some tracks it's pretty non-existent. Other times you have tire wear and the tires are popping every 5 laps. So it's really hard to gauge the tire situation right now, not only in the Cup car, but in iRacing.com Motorsport Simulator.
Yeah, definitely. And at least on the iRacing side of things, I've even noticed where tire heat will get you a little bit more than the tire wear. If you heat up that right side tire, it is not going to want to make any moves for you whatsoever. And you almost have to kind of baby the car around for a few laps to get that temperature back under control. And, we've seen that a lot here, not so much in this race, but in a lot of other races that we've seen here in the season where, a couple of guys might get the right front a little bit too hot. I had that issue in Charlotte a few weeks ago, and once it gets too hot, the car just wants to go backwards all the time, has no grip, gets sideways, and it's just a nightmare to drive if you heat the tires up too much.
Yeah, these current cars are a little tricky to drive. Now, this is interesting. Here comes the number 17, Tristan Thuggy Maher. These are our top 2 in the point standings, battling it out. Remember, we only got 3 laps left until the stage caution. Philip Scott has added another second to his race lead, so you're not missing anything there. But we're going to keep our eyes peeled on this battle for the second position. All the other spots in the top 8 at this moment in time are relatively secure for those drivers, as gaps are starting to form amongst the field. But Maher still holding on to the 3rd position, as he had a look to the outside of Gracias there, had to back out of it, and that kind of put him into the clutches of Bill Edwards once again, who has really not let these two get away from him at all.
Yeah, he's just kind of been sitting there and just stalking this battle all for the last few laps. And it's a good-looking battle here. If I'm Bill Edwards, I'm sitting there saying, all right, if these guys get into each other, I'm gonna be able to capitalize here and pick up a lot more spots as they come across the line now. I believe this should be the last lap in the stage.
Yeah, this is the last lap here in the stage. We'll see the caution flag at the conclusion of this lap, as Maher got really tight there coming off the corner. That's going to allow Bill Edwards to have a look to the inside. This is big benefit to Jason Gracias. This will be kind of an extra point that he will gain on Maher as Maher scrapes the wall. Edwards now up to 3rd. Scott will win the stage. Here comes Gracias with a big block. Edwards 2nd at the end of the stage, and he's going to give that spot back to Tristan Maher. Caution flag is now out, but Edwards, I think, will be scored with the bonus points at the end of stage number 1. So not sure exactly how that's all going to work out with Edwards kind of getting passed by Maher. But you got to race until the caution flag is out. That's for sure, Bob. Even if you don't, you have to keep racing till that yellow flag comes out, or else you might give up spots.
Yeah, definitely. And with how tight this points championship is, every single one of those spots matter. So I'm wondering if they're going to give the third place points to Bill because they did cross the line that way. But it'll be interesting to see after the race what the league officials are going to say here.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Edwards will get the points for third, but looks like he's also been placed in front of the number 17 here as they start to head down pit road, led by Philip Scott and his number 99 machine. Everyone coming down to their pit crew. The cameraman, stellar job there, can actually see through all the buildings, see exactly where the cars are. Very, very, very impressive there, cameraman. A couple of drivers staying out, Garrett Gleason, Jason Schue. They'll probably pit this next time by. Now, interestingly, Bob, we have 107 laps here on the books here. These drivers, it's a little bit of a stretch. We don't think they can make it all the way from here, but it might be close for some of these drivers to make it all the way from this point to the end of the race. We'll see how that all pans out if we stay caution-free. Surely there's going to be another caution. There usually is here at Darlington Raceway. Also, Jason Schue has fallen 2 laps down. Not exactly sure why. Maybe some damage or something. Ooh, look at this. Jason Gracias, he's going to win, or not win the race off pit road, but a good job for him to hold on to that second position as everyone peels off of pit lane. A couple of stragglers. There's Garrett Gleason. He's peeling off to come down pit road this time by. Bob?
And what a great looking race car there for that number 7 of Garrett Gleason. And, it's one of those things where coming down pit road like this, it's going to be close if they can make it on fuel. And, almost hitting that yellow attenuator there on pit road was Garrett Gleason. But, these cars can do about 80 laps on a tank of fuel here. But that's just sitting on pit road. That's not having run any laps, whether it's under caution, green flag conditions, anything like that. So this is going to be really tight on fuel. There's going to be a lot of saving, maybe even seeing some guys clutched into the corners. So this will be interesting to see what these guys do strategy-wise, because tires are going to do a lot more damage than fuel, I feel, at least as this race goes on.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right. But, man, can we talk about that number 99 of Philip Scott? That number 99 of Philip Scott, interestingly, did not have a good pit stop. He's fallen well back in the field, and he's continuing to lose spot. Bob, this could only be some type of speeding penalty, you'd have to think, or maybe pit lane exit violation or something. But the driver that has dominated the one and only stage here tonight is going to be starting at the tail end of the field. That's kind of a shocker for him. Meanwhile, Mike Tellier's also lost a lap under this caution flag. Not sure why, but Jason Schue was 2 laps down. Mike Tellier now 1 lap down in his number 97. So some kind of things happening. A little bit wild for a kind of just a stage caution.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what had happened there. I think the 99 might have gotten nailed for speeding because then again, I'm looking at the pit stop times. He was last in his box 14.1 seconds, so that does not indicate any speeding penalties or anything like that. Meanwhile, 88 of Andrew Beach, he was in his box for 50 seconds, and that looks a little bit closer to a speeding penalty. Might have been a commitment line violation, maybe pit exit violation, but whatever it is, Philip Scott's going to have a lot of ground that he's going to have to cover here in about 77 laps.
Yeah, a lot of ground to cover. That is for sure. Also, a lot of cars to pass. You and I know, Bob, you can eat up your tires trying to catch up, trying to make up that ground. We'll see whether or not that happens here as pace car heads down pit road. It will be Jason Gracias leading us back to the green flag to his outside. The number 50 of Bill Edwards. You might also wonder, where's Tristan Thuggy Maher? He's back there too. So all types of things going wrong. Garrett Gleason pulls off to the side. Green flag back in the air. Good restart there for Jason Gracias as he pulls away. Now the side-by-side battle's back behind us. Oh, the 39 machine getting loose down there on the inside. Jeff Price, good save. He's still trying to save it as the back channel productions machine loses all that track position.
Man, what a tough break there for Jeff Price. He had himself a good run, restarted there in third place, but that apron is going to jump out and get you every single time. It's pretty hard to see on corner entry where the track goes off into that higher banking, right around that dashed line there. So maybe he just kind of caught that and sent him sideways. I'm not entirely sure. We'll take a look here on the 3-wide TV replay of the restart.
Yeah, Jeff Price, also one of our contenders for the Total Nonstop Racing 3-wide TV Cup. Let's go and watch this as he goes off into turn number 1. That's the exact, well, not exactly what he saw, but a good indication. Goes down there on the flat side of the racetrack, and then kind of when he comes back up on the banking there, Bob, just the back end sticks out. He's still trying to save it, still sliding, and then finally able to get it pointed in the right direction, but still lost quite a bit of time in that number 14 machine. Now back live. Excuse me, number 39 machine. As he runs the number 14 in other series, so we broadcast him a couple times here per week on 3-wide TV, but he's dropped down to the 7th position. Philip Scott in the number 99 is now right back behind him. Maher in front of him, so good job by Maher to get back up into 6th. But you can already see the gap between Philip Scott. Remember, he had a 3-second race lead. Well, he's already 3.8 seconds behind Jason Gracias. That is how disastrous it had been for the number 99 with that pit lane mishap. But side-by-side battle here between Dumas and Andrew Beach. Looks like Beach is going to take it.
Yeah, good move there by Beach, taking a look to the inside of Dumas. And in these corners, they're so narrow, but especially turns 3 and 4, a little bit of a tighter radius, a little different arc into the corner that you'd normally see. And a great job just capitalizing on corner exit. That's, kind of the best way you're going to want to make your passes here at Darlington, is coming off the corner, getting yourself a good run, slow in, fast out through these corners. And that's exactly what he's able to do. And now he's going to get a good run, setting his sights on the 74 of Bustos.
Yeah, Bustos, what a great run it has been for him. It has taken him 36 laps, but he has cracked the podium. He has gained 7 spots since the drop of the green flag, so that is great for him. Of course, we call him the bridesmaid because he's got numerous runner-up finishes this season in the Total Nonstop Racing 3-wide TV Cup. Jarmar Dumas having a big moment there on the back of screen there in his number 28 mobile. At least Bustos with those passes can set his eyes on the front too as well. And I've been impressed with Edwards here. He has not let Jason Gracias get away from him like he did Philip Scott earlier in the night. Philip is now down to 2.6 seconds behind your race leader. Oh man, this is a pretty big gaggle up the front of the field. Bob, do you think maybe they're already thinking about fuel mileage?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. They're all clustered together, but I feel like they have to be thinking fuel mileage at this point. Like I said, about 80 laps on a fresh tank without the car running or anything like that. So maybe even fall that down to about 75 laps, give or take. And if you're in a battle like this, you just kind of, your brain just shuts off and turns into race brain mode, and you wind up using a lot more than you really should. So, I think these guys might be thinking fuel saving, but at the same time, it could just be completely out the window now.
Yeah, of course, you want to win the race as well. You just really have to figure out what's the best chance to win your race. And, sometimes if you're fast, well, let's just go out there, dominate the race, lead every lap if you can. But then there's also those drivers that realizes, you know what, sometimes cutting back a little bit, saving some fuel, sometimes that's the winning strategy. So we'll see how it all plays out here tonight. Still got 67 laps to go this time by. We've got Ryder Lee Angle and RC Plains in the chat. How are you both doing here tonight? Johnny Williams hanging about as well. Johnny, I'm fortunate that you can't be in the race here tonight. Johnny also saying that he was going to run the Red Bull scheme that Robby Gordon ran on several road courses in the Busch Grand National Series. He says he's going to run that scheme, though, next week. it appears. So hopefully you can, Johnny. It might be a week late amongst everyone else, but it'll be good to see that out on the racetrack. Now, we do want to highlight that up at the front of the field, Edwards still right there on Gracias. Gracias might have had a little moment there off the corner. But look who's starting to creep up into this picture. That is the number 17 and the number 99 machine both. They're running currently in 6th and 7th. They are now down to right about 2 to 2.5 seconds behind your race leader, Jason Gracias. So they're continuing to click off laps. Of course, question mark could be tires on whether or not they're able to hold on to them. And Jamar Dumas again flirting with that outside wall. Seems like we've seen more sparks off of his Texaco Haviland machine than at least anyone else that I've seen in the field. At least up at the front of the field, as again he gets close to it in the Stay Tuned Sports. It's Texaco Haviland scheme, but really it's Stay Tuned Sports on the hood, kind of akin to the the Texaco Haviland schemes that we've seen throughout the years in NASCAR. Of course, going way back to the Allisons and all the way up to Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya and Ricky Rudd. Long time running schemes in NASCAR as those Texaco Haviland schemes, but not a Robby Gordon scheme ever. At least I can't recall him ever running that scheme. I don't think he ever did. So, but we'll give him a pass. It's in the same vein of a throwback scheme here tonight at Darlington.
You know, I'll count it. Any throwback's a good throwback if you ask me, and good to see some good-looking paint schemes out there. But this 99 machine, he's putting in some pretty fast laps this time by 29.8, about a tenth faster than our leader Jason Gracias this last time by. So him and the 17 of Tristan Maher making some moves, not able to really get around each other, but they're able to pick up a little bit of time here and there. And that's really all that matters right now.
Yeah, just a little bit of time, a little bit of time lap after lap, just getting a little bit closer. Still plenty of laps in tonight's event. We've got some good side-by-side action now starting to appear. In front of Jamar Dumas. Jake Bustos has actually lost the spot to Andrew Beach. Good job for the number 88 machine. I was a little bit concerned, Bob, that his right front damage that he had would have really hindered that nationwide machine. But he's saying no. It doesn't hurt me at all. Here's the number 55 machine, Stephen Dozier Jr. for a pit stop. Not sure what's up here, but he's going to come into his pit. Well, was going to come into his pit box. Ended up going into the next car in front of him's pit spot. Had to throw it in reverse, and the fruit stripe number 55 Camaro was going to get some fresh rubber underneath it. You can see a couple of groups really forming here, which is interesting to see. This group right here, though, battle for position as Tristan Maher has a lunge to the inside of Dumas. Dumas gets into the wall. Now here comes Philip Scott for position off of turn 4.
Yeah, Scott looks like he's going to be just the opportunist right there. Sees the 28, got into the wall. He's going to lose some momentum down the back straightaway. And he's easily going to clear the 28 going into turns 3 and 4. Or, pardon me, turns 1 and 2. But a good move there by Philip, able to capitalize on that and try to reel back in that 17 machine.
So you see exactly how the field is currently spread out. As there's a big gap in between Jeff Price and Vincent Valvano on the order of about 5 seconds. And then Robert Tripp is right behind Vincent Valvano. Then you got about 6 seconds back to Garrett Gleason. Another couple of seconds back to the number 3 of Jason Schue, who's still running 2 laps down. The number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier also in the mix, as we got, I think, a change for position right back behind him, as Dumas has lost another spot to the number 39 of Jeff Price. So Dumas now slides back to 8th. Tellier there, I was just about to mention, is 1 lap down out on the racetrack. Hopefully Tellier can get his lap back with a caution flag, get a lucky dog. If he does not happen to get a lucky dog, though, if we go green flag to the end of this event, well, that would kind of be par for the course for Tellier, Bob. It always seems like when Tellier needs a caution flag, he never gets it.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, that could have been close there for the 28 machine. He had a vicious hit coming out of turn 2, hit the outside wall hard. So I'm wondering if you might even have some suspension damage. These things are very fragile if you hit the wall in the right place, and the wheel could be knocked out of alignment, and this could be a long race for that 28 machine. And if I'm Mike Tellier, I'm saying, all right, if you wreck, just stay on the racetrack. This way I'll be able to get that yellow and pick up that Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog.
Yeah, trying to get that Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dog, and of course, taking count of the Polyhedral Cathedral Lucky Dogs across the season. And okay, Polyhedral Cathedral, big shout out to them for sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award here in the series. Now, Andrew Beach, who had a great run going. I think I must have spoke too soon, Bob, because all of a sudden, Beach, who caught the wall again there. I just kind of mentioned that he got up into third, got around Jake Bustos. Now he finds himself many laps, well, not laps, but seconds behind our front group. Not sure what happened there. Of course, there's been that right front damage now for a while, but maybe he's made it worse. Maybe he had a half spin or something that we didn't see, but right now he's fallen down to 7th.
Tough break. Looks like he's got a bit of right rear damage as well to match, so it probably wound up getting to the wall coming off the corner and had to lose a bunch of time, if that was my guess, at least.
Now let's see if we can figure this one out in the 3-wide TV replay. Here comes Bustos, who, yeah, just kind of went to the high side, made Andrew Beach look like he was sitting stationary, so there was no contact or anything there. I'm not sure if Beach might be having a problem with some of his hardware, but he's continuing to drop back. He's fallen down into 7th, and he's fallen into the clutches of Jamar Dumas here pretty quickly. In fact, let's see if we can bring up kind of maybe lap time over the last 10 or so laps. I was going to say this graphic is... I don't know how well this graphic's going to work, folks. This is me experimenting here on 3-wide TV. Well, it didn't do what I asked it to do anyway. But Jamar Dumas closing in a couple tenths a lap. Lap number 50 caught up almost a full second in a single lap. So, oof. Dumas there almost getting into the wall, though. But, Bob, one thing I'm at least counting in my head is the fact that these drivers pitted on lap number 27. We're working lap number 56 here. So we're kind of at the point where we're in uncharted territory when it comes to the tires. We think that these drivers only need one more pit stop to the end of the race. That would presumably come around lap number 67, give or take. So we're probably only about 10 to 15 laps away from seeing green flag pit stops if we stay caution-free.
Yeah, and that's going to be really interesting. We saw a couple of guys come down pit road already. Unfortunately, though, it looks like the 55 Steven Dosiak Jr. has taken his car to the garage area and has retired from this race. So, yeah, I'm thinking, 10, 12 laps or so, we'll start seeing a couple guys come down pit road. But if you look at that scoring pylon now, Peter, Philip Scott, Tristan Maher now up to 3rd and 4th. So they've made their way up through the field. It's the longest green flag run we've had tonight. So now's when we'll see these cars start to handle a little differently than when they had some fresh tires on them at the beginning of this run.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing, that these two are starting to make some inroads on the top two. Still about 2 seconds behind Edwards, but about 3 seconds behind Jason Gracias. So we'll just see how this continues to play on. But you have to think, Bob, about 10 laps away from inevitable green flag pit stops, you have to use every ounce that you have left in those tires. It's go time here. You can't save the whole race. You have to at some point start turning things around, really going for it, use up those tires, make up that ground, and I'm sure that's what these two drivers are doing right here on your screen as they have recovered, at least for Philip Scott, recovered a little bit from his last pit lane mishap. But under green flag conditions, Bob, if you make a mistake like Philip Scott did, it's going to be a whole lot more costly under green than it was under yellow.
Yeah, definitely. That'll put you multiple laps down at the very least and just completely ruin your night. And Peter, we've seen it before in many races, drivers having such a hard time getting down onto pit road. We've seen drivers hit that attenuator heading onto pit road, gassing up a little bit too much and spinning coming off of pit road. So this is a very treacherous pit road to hit green flag pit stops on, and let's see here how the three of Jason Schue is able to do coming off of pit road here.
Yeah, Jason had a very, very long pit stop on the order of about 4 minutes. So not sure what was all happening there on the number 3. He's going to stay down there on the inside of the racetrack, let all of our leaders on by, so he doesn't come up into the mix. But now 11 laps down is that number 3, so tough night for him. As we continue to click by, I thought maybe he was going to be the first one to come down to kind of start the green flag pit cycle, but that was definitely not the case. But as I say that, we do have our first drivers to kind of start that pit cycle. Here comes Jamar Dumas. Robert Tripp back behind him. So Dumas, who was running down there in 8th, Tripp just a little bit further back behind them. He'll come down, get those fresh Goodyear tires, and get back out there into the mix with just under 50 laps to go. Here in the Maxgrafix.co Robby Gordon Throwback 150. If you have not checked out Maxgrafix.co, well, there is a link in the description of the video if you want to go look at them and get yourself a custom paint scheme like this one right here leading the field. Jason Gracia. Oh, Gracia's in the wall there, just kind of kissing it. Through the center of 3 and 4, Maxgrafix.co probably not all too happy with that there, Bob. Debeautifying that scheme.
It's a beautiful looking car, and Chris and the folks at Maxgrafix do such great work. I'm excited. I'm hopefully getting a paint scheme from them pretty soon for the next gen car as well, for the Tabletop Trio podcast that I've been running here. So hopefully getting that paint scheme soon, and I cannot wait to see it because Chris does such great work, and he's put some real life cars out there on the racetrack as well.
Yeah, he has. A couple of schemes this year have made it onto the real life NASCAR racetrack, and including the Alka-Seltzer machine there. I think the number 4 Alka-Seltzer car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series was, of course, a scheme made by Maxgrafix.co. You can check them out on Facebook as well. But start with Maxgrafix.co. From there, you can get their social media pages and let them know that you're interested in your own iRacing paint scheme. So really, really cool to have them on board here as one of our 3-wide TV partners and league partners here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. But Jason Gracia is still holding on to now about a 3-second lead. Remember, Bob, I said, now's about the time where you really got to start using your tires because you're going to be pitting for new ones here soon. Well, I think Jason Gracia has heard me. He's put another second or so on Bill Edwards and about another second on Philip Scott, who is back up into 3rd. He recently passed the number 17 at Tristan Maher. We did miss that. But Philip back up into 3rd and onto the podium, probably kicking himself after that pit road mistake. But one thing to keep in mind is this very lap, right now, lap number 67, if you pit on this lap, it will be 40 laps to go, and 40 laps since you last made your last pit stop. So this is kind of the halfway mark. This is usually where I like to time my pit stops around, as Jason Gracias, well, he likes to do the same thing, Bob, because he's on pit road right now.
Yeah, Gracia's coming down pit road now, and this is one of those things where I sit there and say, okay, if I pit now, this is how my car is going to feel at the end of the race. Do I like it? Should I pit sooner? Should I, wait this out a little bit longer? But, Peter, yeah, I think this is the right idea to come down now. You'll have plenty of time to make up, if you have a slow stop or if you slide through your box or anything like that. But, we'll see here as the 17 of Tristan Maher is also going to be peeling off heading down pit road now, too.
Yeah, that Clips Photography, number 17, coming down. Got to hit those pit lane marks. Not only do you have to be below the yellow cone or closer to the inside wall from the cone, you also have to hit that pit lane speed as well. And you and I know, Bob, that pit lane speed can sometimes bite you. And if it bites you, it can be an absolute dreadful night. Right now, Andrew Beach is still out there on the racetrack. He's lost quite a bit of time now, 13 and a half seconds behind Bill Edwards. Not sure if he continues to struggle with the tires or maybe damage on the Nationwide machine, but you have to think that if it is the tires, well, those Goodyear tires not on his side, like his sponsor Nationwide. I expect to see him on pit road momentarily. But at least for the drivers that are staying out, they want to see a caution flag. They want to see a caution flag come out right now, and then they can kind of come down pit road in the leisure of yellow flag conditions and get a big advantage on some of these drivers who literally just pit. But we haven't seen any real caution flags here tonight. We did have the one and only stage caution come out at the conclusion of lap number 25. But since then, nothing. No caution flags to really speak of. We've seen a couple drivers scrape the wall. We've seen Jeff Price with a really big save. But beyond that, it's been pretty clean here tonight in the 3-wide TV Cup.
And that's awesome to see, Peter. It's, that just goes to show the caliber of driver that we have out there on the racetrack. This is it's a narrow track. And if these guys are able to race side by side and have good battles for 45 plus laps now, plus another 25 earlier. I mean, that just goes to show how good and talented these drivers are at car control and just racing respectfully. And that's what's just so awesome about this league.
Yeah, definitely awesome to see that these drivers do have so much respect for one another. Now, interestingly, one thing to note, Bob, is that Johnny Williams in the chat has alerted me to the fact that Robby Gordon actually ran a Texaco schemed car once upon a time. He drove the first race after Davey Allison's passing in 1993 of course, Allison had that helicopter crash at Talladega, and Johnny's done the investigation. Says, sure enough, he did drive a Texaco scheme once upon a time. So pretty interesting to hear that. Of course, you think about Robby Gordon racing all those years in what was then IndyCar Series and then moving over into the Indy Racing League before, kind of coming over to NASCAR kind of permanently there around the year 2000, give or take. But, according to Johnny, he did. So interesting to see that. Here comes your race leader, Bill Edwards, on pit road. Jake Bustos will now inherit the race lead. Jeff Price, Andrew Beach still clicking away at lap times as well. Of course, the other thing, Bob, I hadn't really thought about this, but Andrew Beach could just be saving fuel to try and make it on just one-stop strategy. The bad news for him is he's got Jason Gracias on fresh tires, only about 16 seconds back and closing in a hurry, so we'll keep our eyes on that as the run continues to go on. But for Bustos, he's in the wall. That's what Bustos is. A little bit of right front damage now as well, shown up on his Chevy Camaro, so we'll see if that changes his intention of pitting or staying out here for much longer.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, especially coming down pit road, seeing how much damage there is on the car, how that's going to affect his pit stop, if he even elects to take any damage fixing. But that's going to be interesting here now. I mean, he's done about 49 going on 50 laps on these tires. They've got to be screaming for more, but we'll see. Maybe he's trying to save, maybe maybe a reverse Iowa situation where we saw a few weeks ago where he was leading but tried to stay out as long as possible and then eventually wound up getting caught by, I believe, the one of Jason Gracias. So, maybe he's trying to, pull that strategy again. But we'll see here as the race goes on. The 97 got into the wall hard. He's going to come down pit road.
Oh, there is Tellier struggling here tonight. Had a very long stop. Oh, and he missed the pit lane. Missed the barrels there. We've seen Mike Tellier end up in barrels at the end of pit road before. Not this time, but he is going to have to go an extra lap. That is not going to help his situation. Andrew Beach also in the 88 on pit lane. We'll see whether or not he should be rolling here momentarily. That crew down and away. Fresh tires for the final 30 laps here or so. Hopefully that works out to his advantage. Now that just leaves Jake Bustos as the only driver out there on the racetrack yet to come down pit road. He does have a 22-second advantage over Jason Gracias, although he continues to scrape the right side of that number 74 with the red and white checkered wall here at the racetrack. you just have to think, Bob. Here he is out there on the racetrack. You think maybe he's, maybe he's thinking of going the rest of the way on this set of tires. But look at the gap, or the time, I guess, he's losing to Jason Gracias. He's losing, good 1.7, 1.8 seconds per lap here. I mean, that means he can only lead for the next, 10 laps or so before Gracias just passes him outright. So Bustos here, I think, going to need a caution flag here in the next 5 to 10 laps if he's going to have any shot of getting the checkered flag tonight.
That's what I'm thinking, Peter. Either a yellow flag or, you just got to bite the bullet and come down pit road now. Only 5 cars, including him, on the lead lap. So 6 on back is going to have to pass him twice. And if I'm Bustos, I'd be coming in right now just because of that alone. And here he comes now down pit road. Let's see if he can make the commitment line and get himself down there, because he's coming in hot.
Yeah, he's down on pit road. So this will complete the cycle for sure between the whole field, presumably all making their final pit stop of the night. And, well, at least a final pit stop, unless we have another caution flag, but I kind of doubt that's going to happen with how clean these drivers have been with one another so far this season. Gracias leads, Maher second, Philip Scott now in third, but Bob, Jason Gracias, 8-second lead. You look his pit lane time compared to Maher and Philip Scott, well, it's not much different. I don't know if Gracias, he did pit 1 to maybe 3 laps before the other drivers behind him. Gracias pitted on 67. Maher came in 1 lap later. Philip Scott came in 3 laps after Gracias. But, 8 seconds, that's huge.
That is absolutely massive. And Gracias has just been putting down some fantastic lap times. And I'm starting to wonder, Peter, if the fact that Thuggy and Philip were both battling pretty hard there, if that let Gracias kind of drive away, because the 99 and the 17 have been battling this entire run now.
Yep, and they are battling for position. Scott with a little bit of an advantage on the tire side of things with 2-lap fresher tires. But Maher has the track position, got the clean air on the nose, and I'm sure that's just going to frustrate Philip Scott. The other thing for Jason Gracias that's really nice, Bob, is, he's got a big lead. He also has the oldest tires, but he can save those tires a little bit more. He can actually give up some of this ground. He's, when you have 7 seconds, that's a pretty big cushion. Just save those tires a little bit more than you typically do. Just let the tires cool off and maybe let these drivers catch you, and then, just when they think they might have a shot, turn on the jets and pull away there late. We'll see whether or not that happens, but at least for now, the 99 of Philip Scott racing with the... Oh, contact, and on the wall, Philip Scott, the number 99 machine, right there on your screen, goes up the racetrack, caution flag waves, and for one of our series contenders, his night ends up in the inside wall.
Man, what a tough break there. It gets super tight coming out of the corner, and that's exactly what you don't want to see. The 97 just kind of came up a bit, and, well, the rest was history there. Unfortunately for Philip, that'll definitely take him out of contention tonight.
Yeah, and, it looked like he had it saved, but then Tellier kind of caught him one more time. Get another look at this from a slightly different angle. Well, it's a very slightly different angle as, boom, just heavy into the inside wall. Just tough break. Another angle here. This is from high atop the main grandstand. There's just that little bit of contact, and ouchies. Kind of got the front end and the back end, and I believe that suspension's toast. He's going to have to come down for a lengthy stop, and Philip Scott not having a good week here on 3 Wide TV. Had a bad race the other night here on the channel. Got involved in an accident. And then here again tonight with 21 laps to go. And that is a tough break for one of the drivers who was trying to grab the series title this year. Philip came into tonight third place in points, 15 markers behind Tristan Maher. Bill Edwards in fourth position in points. He's running fourth position out there on the racetrack. He's going to be happy to see that, as he's going to be able to jump in front of Philip in the point standings. But unfortunately for the number 99, there, our pole sitter here tonight, it's going to be a rather long pit stop, I would think, as that crew goes to fix the Publix Ford Mustang.
Just a really tough break there for Philip. You hate to see that when someone who's been dominant all race long, led the first stage, sent back into the pack because of some sort of penalty, whether it was exit or entrance penalty, and just kind of trying to fight his way up, finally makes his way up into third, and then unfortunately tangles up with a car who was a lap down. Just a really tough break there for Philip.
Yeah, and I know that I'm sure Mike will be rather apologetic about that. I know Mike enough that I don't think he's gonna, just kind of let that one go. I don't think he'll probably say sorry, but we'll see how that all shakes out. I'm sure Philip's got, the race car drivers, they have a memory like an elephant, they say. But we'll see how that all works out. 19 laps to go, and now things completely change, Bob. It's going to be a little bit of a shootout to the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of guys came down pit road on that yellow. Looks like pretty much everyone has. So, we're going to see a pretty good shootout here to the finish when we do eventually go green. I'm just trying to think who has it at this point. We've seen so many strong cars. The Juan Gracias led a lot. Tristan Maher has been in this mix the whole race, as well as the 50 of Bill Edwards. There's also Jake Bustos a little bit further back in about 5th place. So, this could get really, really dicey when we go back green.
Yeah, I think it will get quite dicey when we go back green flag here in just a little bit. I mean, just think about the restart we did see there after the first and only stage caution, when we had the 39 machine of Jeff Price almost spin out. In fact, Jeff Price, speaking of Jeff Price, is he off the racetrack, Bob? I don't see him. The 39 machine, not sure if he's had connection issues, but he's not on the racetrack. He was, I think he was on the lead lap, but that's kind of surprising to see. Kind of chaos breaking out here.
Yes, it is connection issues. Says he's connected due to upload packet loss.
That's a tough break. Always hate to see that happening here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. And of course, that's one of the things, Bob, that we deal with as sim racers is connection issues. They're kind of analogous to random mechanical failures, is all of a sudden when you have your connection loss. And hopefully we don't have that happen here tonight on 3 Wide TV. But the pace car lights are off. We're going to have 17 laps to figure things out. Surprisingly, we're down to just 5 cars on the lead lap. How did that happen? As Jason Gracias in the number 1, the number 17, Tristan Thuggy Maher, to battle things out here in the Robby Gordon Throwback 150 presented by Maxgrafix.co. Good start there for the number 1.
Yeah, great start there by Jason Gracias. He's able to lead the field through turns 1 and 2. We'll see the 17 of Tristan Thuggy Maher just behind him. There's the 50 of Bill Edwards. Might have came close to the wall there a little bit out of 2, but he's no worse for wear here as we see the field run through turns 3 and 4 now. 35 Robert Tripp taking the low line all the way around the track.
Yeah, 16 laps to go, and the field already starting to get spread out just a little bit. Gracias, Maher up front, Bill Edwards in the 3rd spot. Bob, you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see the front two kind of dice it out. Bill Edwards kind of get into the mix. In fact, speaking of Bill Edwards, he's trying to get into the mix here with Tristan Thuggy Maher. There's almost contact between the two. There might have been contact there, Bob. That was really close in the center of 3 and 4, and that's allowed Gracias to open up a full second lead.
Yeah, definitely a bit of contact there. Luckily for the 17, he was up against the wall, and the way the 50 came in just kind of pinned him up against the wall. Couldn't quite do anything with each other, luckily for them. So, I would be interested to see if Bill's going to take it back a little bit, let the tires cool off, see if he can use the 17 to get him closer to the 1 and maybe try to make a move that way. But 14 laps to go now, and Gracia's starting to pull away.
Yeah, Gracias up to a 1.1 second now, so about a full tenth of a second faster than these two that you see on your screen. Jamar Dumas sitting in fourth a little bit further back. Jake Bustos in the number 74. He's had some lap traffic to contend with, but he's now free of them. 3 seconds off the lead, 14 laps to go. So this race has kind of shifted from a little bit of a long run feel to the short run all the way to the end. And we've talked about fall off. I think it was about 9/10 of a second over 20 laps. Bob, do you think that's enough where over that final 20 laps or so you can kind of go for broke? Do you think about saving a little bit of tire, or do you think it's go, go, go here?
I mean, I think at this point in the race, 13 laps to go, you kind of have to go, go, go. If there's a caution, you'll figure it out then, but it's got a green feel to it. And I think this is the point in the race where you just say, you know what? I got to use these tires for 12 laps. Let's get the most of them and try to get it going now.
Well, these drivers trying to get every little bit of time out there on the racetrack. We'll continue to watch kind of this battle that is now formed as Edwards has fallen a little bit into the clutches of Dumas. Dumas in his Stay Tuned Sports Ford Mustang right there on your left-hand side of the screen. Now the bottom-hand side of your screen. I don't know if you have bottom-hand side, but you have left-hand side, right-hand side, top-hand side, bottom-hand side. I don't know. Maybe you have 4 hands. But for right now, the number 50, Bill Edwards cranking out laps in third. He's dropped about a 0.8 of a second behind the number 17 Maher. Jeff Price did not return to the racetrack. Andrew Beach, who was involved in that accident with Philip Scott and Mike Floppy Tellier, he has also left the racetrack. He got a kind of a piece of it right on the back end, got into the back, I think, of Tellier. So unfortunately for Andrew, his night goes no further. He will be finishing in 12th. And then we got a couple of drivers, of course, like Vincent Valvano in the 64, who I'm not sure exactly what happened to Vincent Valvano. Not sure if it was a long pit stop or something, but he got himself back out there on the racetrack. He's 2 laps down. Gleason calling his own number. And Bob, I think it'd be pretty fitting if the number 7 machine finishes in the 7th position in the Robby Gordon Throwback event. I think that just kind of work.
Poetic, right?
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Speaking of 7, we're almost down to 7 laps to go. It'll be 7 laps to go this time for Jason Gracias. And Bob, we look away for 1 second, and Gracias' 1.1 second lead, poof, it's all but gone as Maher now just 0.2 of a second behind.
Yeah, that time by Tristan Maher, the fastest car on the racetrack, ran a 29.28 as opposed to Gracias' 29.6. So right there is, is kind of the tail of the tape as we see now the 17 closing in on the back bumper of the 17, or the 1 rather, with 7 laps to go here.
Yeah, you look at that gap. It's gone from about 0.9 of a second down to 0.3 of a second in just a handful of laps. Gracias just doesn't seem to be getting off the corner very well. Look at Maher already on that loud pedal, closing. And you can see Maher is actually shifting. He shifted down to the to the 4th gear. He did it again here through the center of turns number 1 and 2. He's going to try and cut underneath Gracias. Gracias throwing a little bit of a block, but mile, all of a sudden, Maher looks like the better of these 2 drivers, at least from the level of grip that I'm seeing right here on your screen. And look at Bill Edwards starting to creep back into the picture. It could be a 3-horse race as we come to 5 laps to go. Maher having a look to the inside. Now he's going to have a look to the inside. Gracias throws a little bit of a block. 5 to go here at Darlington.
Look at this battle right here. 3 cars all trying to get the win in this playoff race. The points leader in the one of Jason Gracias, Tristan Thuggy Maher, just behind him. Here comes Bill Edwards. Edwards takes a look to the inside into turn number 3.
Edwards trying to find a little bit of grip on that inside line, not able to do so. The outside line is still the preferred line. Maher gets a little bit loose up off the corner. We continue to watch these two. 4 laps to go. This has allowed Gracias to just scoot away just a little bit. On board now with Bill Edwards in the Speed Energy machine. Trying to close in, trying to do this for Robby. Bob, he's the only driver in our top 3 who has a Robby Gordon inspired scheme. Trying to win it all for Robby here. But he doesn't seem to be able to keep with the number 17 of Maher, at least for right now, as Maher tries to close back in, trying to get to right back where he was. Shifts back down into the 4th gear, in through turn number 1 and 2, up to that high side of the racetrack. Cuts back underneath, just trying to get a little bit lower on the racetrack than Gracias. Gracias doing all he can to hold on to this race lead, as we'll have 2 laps to go this time by.
Lots of mirror driving there. If I'm the one of Jason Gracias, where is the 17 going? Well, what line is he taking? How can I take the air off the front of his car and just throw all the dirty air in front of it here? 2 laps to go now, as Jason Gracias still has the lead through turns 1 and 2. Maher gets a little bit high, might have scraped the wall a little bit, no worse for wear, as they're down this long back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway into turn number 3 for the penultimate time here tonight. Bill Edwards smacking the wall through turn number 3 and 4. He's trying to get everything he can. Bad news for Maher is Maher also clipped the wall. He also got loose up off of turn number 4. That's going to allow Bill Edwards to look to the inside, and probably as good of a run as Edwards has had all night long. He's going to pull up to the high side now. Maher going to try and do the over-under. This is going to be tough off of turn number 2. Edwards smacks the wall. Maher going to have a run. This has allowed Gracias to scoot away. The number 1 machine will be easy off into the sunset here as the battle for second continues to rage on. We'll highlight that here in a second, but out of turn number 4, here comes Gracias to the line. He wins at Darlington 2nd. Bill Edwards 3rd to Tristan Maher.
Wow. What a fantastic battle between all of these drivers here. The 17, Tristan Maher, thought he was going to get it at the line, thought he was going to put in a little bit more of a fight with Jason Gracias, but a good win there for Gracias. Great battle between the 50 of Edwards and the 17 of Maher. Rounding out the top 5, Jamar Dumas comes home 4th. Jake Bustos comes home 5th.
So Jason Gracias gonna come down here onto the front stretch and do some burnouts for the fans, as he is tonight's race winner. Great job for Jason. Congratulations to him picking up another win this season, and in doing so, I believe we'll leave tonight as your points leader as well, which could be very big come late in the season. Of course, also able to pick up the bonus points for winning, or not winning, but a couple of bonus points, I think, on Tristan Maher at the end of the first stage. So things really going Jason Gracias' way here tonight at the Darlington Raceway. Let's see if we can dial up some post-race interviews for you, however, here on the channel. Be fun to talk with Tristan Thuggy Maher, Bill Edwards, and of course our race winner here tonight. Just got to get them all down here into the 3-wide TV waiting room. Bob, why don't you take it away with tonight's third place finisher, Tristan Thuggy Maher?
I'm here with our third place finisher, Tristan Maher. And Tristan, what a fantastic battle between you and Bill there with the closing laps. Walk me through that battle.
The last green flag run of this race was pretty wild. One of the best stints of racing I've had in a really long time, as far as the fun factor is concerned. Yeah, dirty air is a problem here. If you're behind a car, it's super hard to pass. Jason was doing a really good job air blocking me off of turn 4. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I gotta say. Super clean racing between the three of us up front there, and everybody else too. But yeah, me and Bill had contact a couple times, but it wasn't anything I would consider dirty racing. I think it was fun.
Yeah, definitely. And you could tell how much fun everyone was having out there tonight. Just, kind of talk me through your race. For the most of the race, it kind of seemed like you and the 99 were basically glued to each other's bumpers. And just, kind of talk me through that. How hard was it to, while you're battling, to also keep the tires on it and save fuel while you're at it as well?
It's actually, as far as this track, I haven't raced this track with this car a whole bunch, but at least to me tonight it felt like it was really hard to kind of hit that balance as far as maintaining pace with everybody and keeping the tires underneath of you. I did decent the first run, and then after the stage caution, I definitely burnt my stuff up a little bit. Other than that, I mean, it was such a fun race. Tires were key. Not burning your stuff off, except for the last run. But as far as me and Philip is concerned, I mean, we were racing good. I had a couple. Was taking away his air the whole time he was behind me. I was trying to run, similar line as he was. We're battling for points, so do anything I can do to finish in front of him. Even though he's my teammate, he's a good guy. I'm actually, I feel a little bad that he got wrecked, but it is what it is. It's racing.
Definitely. And next week, going to Dover, Delaware for Dover International Speedway. What are your thoughts about the Monster Mile there?
My thoughts is that Jason is going to have a good run at Dover, and he's going to be the one to beat again. In my opinion, Jason just loves that track, and it's one of his favorites. So he'll be a tough one to beat there, I think. And then, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion for Dover.
Fair enough. Well, Tristan, before we let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs for us, so let's hear him.
Yeah, got a shout out. Obviously, the guys that I was racing for those last 20 laps, Jason and Bill. Super clean racing, and it was one of the most fun I've ever had on this game. I was absolutely sending it into turn 3. I felt like Kyle Larson ripping around the wall for a second. You guys opened the booth. Can't wait to go back and watch this broadcast. I'm sure it'll be a good time. Maxgrafix for the paint job. Fantastic looking Ford Mustang. And then obviously Total Nonstop Racing. If anybody out there watching this is interested in getting in on the action, look us up on Facebook, join our Discord, and we'll get you entered.
Well, Tristan, congratulations there on the 3rd place finish, and we're looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Dover.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, that is our 3rd place finisher, Tristan Thuggy Maher, and I believe Peter is caught up with our 2nd place finisher, Bill Edwards.
Yeah, I have caught up with Bill Edwards tonight's runner-up with that great late race battle with Bill Edwards. With what am I saying? All types of frazzled here this week with Tristan Maher. Yeah, Bill. My oh my, what a good race for you. Of course, you started up there on the front row, finishing in 2nd at the end of the night as well. Kind of walk us through your night and that late race battle there.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. I wasn't expecting a late race yellow, but, that kind of it closed up the gap. I was thinking I was going to stay out. I was just worried about the tires on that long green flag run there because it seemed like I was starting to get a little bit loose and a little bit tight before Jason was. So I stayed out a little longer, hoping for a yellow there. And then towards the end, I was hoping for a yellow too. But it worked out. Yeah, me and Thuggy had a good run to the end there, and he just made one mistake. It looked like he just scrubbed the wall a little bit. I might have been I was trying to take as much air off his spoiler as I could, so just keep, filling up his mirror and hoping he'd do something. But We had a couple good races there. Thuggy was putting up a hell of a fight and had a good race at the going to the stage break too. So it was a lot of fun though. I love Darlington. It's a great track. So.
Yeah, you had a really good starting point up there at the front of the field. How did the racetrack kind of race differently from the first stage to the back half of the race, and what did the car feel like on the long run?
It didn't change a whole lot for me. In practice, I noticed that if you push even a little bit, your right front tire was just burning up. So, and some of the boys were checking tires and after the first stage break, and I heard a couple 80s and a couple 90s, and I was sitting at 95. So I'm like, all right, if we get a long green flag run, it should be good. Usually that tells me I should push a little bit harder, that I'm saving a little bit too much, but that I did push just a touch harder in that long green flag run, and Gracias still saved more than me. So he's just fast everywhere we go. So it's always a struggle. But I'll take second. It was a good race. I had a good battle at the end. I had those two guys side by side. I think they're teammates, so they probably weren't going to race each other too terrible hard and let me go, get a chance to go around them. And I kind of figured that. So I was trying to stay up on Thuggy as much as I could and, just try to force somebody to make a mistake. That's all you can do at that point.
Well, you did get a little bit of mistake out of Thuggy there late. But next week we go to another difficult racetrack, Dover International Speedway. What are your thoughts about Dover?
Dover's one of my favorite tracks, so I'm looking forward to it. I've never ran in these cars, but if it's anything like the rest of these, it's going to be kind of the same deal. Just tight in the middle, loose off. But we'll go and see. It's a rhythm track, and I tend to do okay at those. So I'm going to try, give it my all.
Definitely going to be a fun one, moving up in the point standings tonight as well, Bill. Looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack next week. Before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yep, 3Y TV. You guys do a great job every week for us. TNR for putting all this fun stuff on for us. I think Maxgrafix was the sponsor tonight, so shout out to them. Shout out to Jason, Ryan, Philip was fast. Everybody that's out there on the track every week in and week out. So, and I got to say hi to my mom. Thanks for watching.
All right. Well, Bill, congratulations on runner-up here tonight. We'll see you next week at Dover.
Sounds good.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's runner-up driver in the number 50 machine, Bill Edwards. Let's see if we can go down to victory lane where Bob has caught up with none other, Jason Gracias.
Yeah, I'm down here in victory lane with tonight's winner of the Maxgrafix.co Robby Gordon Throwback race, the one of Jason Gracias. First of all, Jason, congratulations. And, you had quite an interesting race there. Pretty much led from the onset of the final stage, and didn't really have to look back, and you got yourself a pretty big lead after green flag pit stops.
Well, when your sponsor is Maxgrafix and you go into pit road P2, you got to pay the officials to give P1 and P3 speeding penalties. So wink, wink, nod, nod. Thanks for taking care of those guys and give them the EOL. But on all seriousness, I came in this race and I had no idea how to drive this track. I thought if I backed my pace up, I would catch Philip, but Philip was gone. Philip by far had the fastest car. And that second stint, Bill was on my bumper, and after 25 laps, I was able to pull away. So I guess my strategy worked. I just needed to get to lap 25 or 30 to really make tires and clean air work. So I guess the cards fell in my favor this week. So I was lucky enough to put this number one Maxgrafix Chevy into victory lane at the Maxgrafix sponsored race.
Yeah, definitely. And, you had a great battle there at the end, too. The last 10, 12 laps were quite thrilling to watch between you, Edwards, Tristan, just, kind of being able to race clean and have a good battle there. Tristan was saying that you did a great job just kind of dumping the dirty air and air blocking, essentially, with just being able to utilize the dirty air. Talk me through that battle.
Well, turn one is pretty much, you're not blocking in turn one, period. That's just the racing line. You go in low, go up top, go down low. Turn 3 and 4, I had to enter high and I had to diamond off the center market 3 to make my line work and not cook the right front. So that's just the line I was running, and Thuggy was just a victim of circumstance. Yeah, you try to get the downforce on his nose going in, but unfortunately, when I was crossing back down, it kind of screwed him over. But definitely unintentional. It's not like Pocono where I dumped dirty R on him on purpose to see if it would work. But no, this week was completely unintentional.
Well, a great battle there, and another great track for you next week going to Dover. What are your thoughts there? You know, a lot of people already kind of picking you to be one of the early favorites for Dover next week.
Well, that's nice. I can't tell you how many times I went to Dover in this league and had the fastest car and ended up with a P2 or P3. So I don't know. Hopefully cards fall in my favor again. Dover's probably the only track I willingly make every attempt to race on at iRacing in any league, just because it's one, a home track, and two, I just enjoy it so much. I've been looking for a Miles the Monster trophy, so if anyone has any leads, let me know. I'm willing to pay some decent money for a Miles the Monster trophy.
Well, we'll put that one out into the ether and see who comes back with it for sure. Jason, before we let you go, do you have any shout outs for us?
Yeah, thanks to Chris Darling and Maxgrafix.co for coming aboard as the race sponsor. I apologize for not participating in the Robby Gordon throwback schemes. I did throwback to a Gordon, just the wrong Gordon. So my apologies, Garrett. Hopefully you don't hold that over my head. So thanks to everybody that makes this possible. 3Y TV, Jason Schue Lawn Service for being the presenting sponsor, Bagcraft, Thornton Graphix, Dunn Raceway Park, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, and Garrett for all he does with the league between working and living his life. He does a great job putting this together. So, and thanks everybody YouTube chat for sticking around with us. Hopefully the next couple of races are just as fun as the last 3 we've had.
For sure. Well, Jason, congratulations again, and looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Dover.
Thank you. See you guys.
All right. Well, that'll do it for tonight's interviews with the top 3 finishers. And Peter, definitely a fun race out there tonight for sure.
Yeah, definitely a good race. And again, one that had us on the edge of our seats all the way to the end. I mean, that 3-car battle for the win was really, really good. And of course, a little bit unexpected with that late race caution. Tough break there for Philip Scott, who eventually finishes well down the running order. Speaking of the running order, let's see if we can go through them. Jason Grassi has taken home the win here in the Maxgrafix Robby Gordon Throwback 150. Remember, make sure to check out maxgrafix.co in the description of the video. There's a link right there. And of course, you can put it back right into your browser as well. Grassi gets that win by 1.3 seconds. Bill Edwards just nicking the second spot from Thuggy Maher there on that final lap. Maher finishes in 3rd. Dumas finishes in 4th. And then Jake Bustos running out our top 5. Robert Tripp in 6th. Garrett Gleason in 7th. And the number 7 machine, Falvano in 8th. Mike Tellier in 9th. And the number 97, Jason Schue, running out our top 10. Then we have the drivers who wish they had a better night. Jeff Price had connection issues there late, finishing 11th. Andrew Beach involved in an accident with Philip Scott, who finishes 13th. And Stephen Doziak Jr. rounds out a little bit of a small field here tonight, but nonetheless a great race, as always, here at Darlington on 3Y TV.
Yeah, that's for sure, Peter. Looking forward next week as well to Dover. One of my favorite tracks to drive, and I'm excited to watch this one because Dover is such a fun track. It's really fun with these cars, and I'm already ready to go next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Dover. Basically everything you said, I could just repeat it all over again because I love the racetrack, and I know quite a few of the drivers do as well. So, folks, you're not going to want to miss that one right here on the channel, 8:05 o'clock Eastern time next week here on 3Y TV. But until then, folks, stay safe and all that good stuff, and we shall see ya.